Thanks. Please have a seat. Thanks. I appreciate that. I also appreciate the inference that I could do whatever I want. Not even close. I want to play shortstop for the Yankees and sing back up to Garth Brooks, and I haven't gotten either offer yet. Thank you all for being. This is an incredible picture of Tennessee. I had the opportunity to campaign for governor the first time for about 2 years and spent my time wandering all over Tennessee. And in the process, as I look around this room, I think I had the chance to meet about 80% of the people in here at one time or another. And it's one of those things that encouraged me more. Randy gave the example of Shimon Peres talking about, you're old when your accomplishments exceed your dreams. And to me, I would paraphrase that to say that you're old when the things that discourage you are greater than the things that encourage you. And running for governor, while it's not always the most fun process, was incredibly encouraging to me as I went to so many of your communities and heard so many people that really cared and were passionate about what they believed in. I also appreciate the idea that Randy said, well, I don't really have to introduce the governor. Everybody has, introduced him or done this or that. It's actually not totally true. There's a lot of people that are clueless about what I do now. I know that because not this year, but a year or so ago, I was at a University of Tennessee football game, and it's halftime, and Todd Helton walks up. Y'all know Todd. He used to play quarterback for University of Tennessee. He was an all-star for the Colorado Rockies for 12, 13 years. And Todd grew up in Knoxville, and his mother had used to work for me, and so I've known him since he was young. And we're sitting there talking, and if you know Todd loves baseball, and he loves hunting, and he loves his family, and doesn't really care a whole lot about much beyond that. And so we're talking, and he goes, he said, have you gotten many football games this year? And I said, no, I said, now that I'm in Nashville, it's a little hard. I don't get to as many games as I'd like. He goes, Nashville? He goes, you live in Nashville now? I said, yeah. And he goes, how long? I said, I've been over there about 3 years. And he got kind of quiet, and he goes, did you lose your job over here? I said, no. I said, actually, I work in Nashville. He goes, what do you do? I said, well, actually, I'm the governor of Tennessee. And Todd goes, no. So there's a whole lot of people that kind of like, no, not really. That's a true story, by the way. Randy talked about Team Tennessee, and everybody that's willing to get a tattoo, no. I'm not raising my hand, Randy. I love you. I can't believe you're doing this, but I'll go for the virtual tattoo. But when we talk about Team Tennessee, we mean it, and there's a lot of people in here a part of that. One of the groups of folks, and Randy talked about them a lot, that are a huge partner in that is the General Assembly. If you're a governor, and I go to governors' meetings, what governors do is they complain about legislators, and what legislators do is they complain about governors. But when it works right, there's a really good balance there that forces government to be good, forces it to be better, and doesn't just get bogged down in a political back and forth, but really does encourage each other to be better. And Randy talked about some of the accomplishments. In Tennessee, that really is true because we have a process that's better. I hear people talk about their budget process, and I just shake their head because in Tennessee, it really doesn't work that way. It really is about getting to the best answer. There are 4 or 5 states in the country that the budget, they've been in the new budget cycle since July, so they're in their 4th month, and they haven't passed a budget yet. We passed ours 6 weeks after it was introduced way back in March or April. I say that just to say it matters that you have people who are committed to that. A lot of them are here today, and I'm going to ask, like I said, I know a lot of elected people in here, but all these elected people in here don't vote on the budget, and these people all do. And so I'm going to ask each, if you'll just hold your applause, I'm going to ask all of them to stand where they are. And I think I have everybody, but if I've missed somebody, please forgive me. And this is in no particular order. I think it's in the order that they were spotted by their body. Senator Mark Norris, Senator Paul Bailey, Senator Richard Briggs, Senator Jim Tracy is here, Senator Bo Watson, Senator Farrell Hale. I got to be at his farm last night up in Sumner County, gorgeous place. Senator Mark Green is here. Senator Brian Kelsey is here. Senator Mike Bell is here. And Senator Todd Gardenhire. And if there's Mike and there's Todd. Thank you all very much for joining us. You can clap for the Senate now. Thank you all. Several representatives, and I'll go through those real quick too. Representative Pat Marsh, Representative Ron Travis, Representative Mark White, Representative John Reagan, Representative Kent Calfee, Representative Karen Camper. I'm going to leave the representative part. Y'all got that down, okay? Jay Reedy, Mark Pody, Kevin Dunlap, Deborah Moody, Craig Fitzhugh is here, back over here, Joe Pitts, Mike Harrison. I've told Mike, Mike has announced he's resigning. I've told him I'm going to burn down his house and that the fire marshal up there works for me and he doesn't have any choice, but he's saying he's going to resign anyway. Representative David Byrd, Eddie Smith, Steve McDaniel, Mike Stewart, Tim Wergo, Mary Littleton, Jason Powell, Bill Sanderson, and Jimmy Eldridge. Please join me in thanking all of them. We really appreciate it. If I missed you or we missed you, we apologize. All right, I'm not going to take long. I know there's a lot of folks that we have some pictures to take, and a lot of folks are headed back to where they're going. That's the first reason I'm not talking long. The second is that Randy just gave my speech when he got up here the first time. Mark Norris looked over at me and said, "Is that what you're going to say?" I said, "Pretty much." So I'll say 5 things that I know from being governor. This is my 5th year to be governor. Let me talk about 5 things that I sort of knew when I ran, but I really know now. The first thing is this: Tennessee is easy to sell. We're talking about selling Tennessee as a place to live and work and raise a family. I've sold things that were hard before. This is not hard to sell. Tennessee brings with it so many assets of a great place to live, of a great physical location, so many great brands. When they recognized Jack Daniels for exporting, and there's so many others, it helps that we have all these great brands that are doing really well in Tennessee, and we can point to and folks go, "Oh, okay, well, I'd like my brand to be associated with their brand," and that helps our brand in Tennessee. So the first thing is Tennessee sells well, and if you're representing your local community, and maybe you're new, I met several people who were brand new mayors or brand new council people or different roles. Just know this: you're selling from a full bucket. In Tennessee, what we have sells well. Whether you're selling across the state line or across the world, Tennessee sells well. The second thing is this. You hear Randy preach about, you'll hear me all the time. The connection between education and jobs is, we used to have to make the argument, hopefully everybody gets how far past that we are. But as you think about Team Tennessee, think about the team that's part of your whole community. I was in one community, I won't name it, but we were talking, I went and met with some business folks, and they were politely complaining to the governor that not many jobs had come their way recently. And then after that, I went and we had some meeting with some education folks, and we had a whole different conversation. But the connection between that was that their education attainment in that particular area was really low. The number of degrees that were being awarded, the percent of kids who were graduating from high school. And so my hopefully kind but firm message was, we have to address the workforce, not just statewide, but here. If people are going to come here, they're going to look at what percentage of your population has a degree or certificate, what percentage of your population is graduating from high school, what sort of skills and training are we providing to people. So as you think about being part of Team Tennessee, we don't just mean your local government and tied into the state, or your local economic development agency. We talk about everything that sells that. So hopefully you're walking hand in hand with your local education authorities, your school boards, and with higher education officials to say, how can we do this better and closer? Number 3, I'm really proud of the initiative that ECD has announced around rural development. What really good businesses do, what really good institutions do, what really good states do is they identify where they're struggling. And it's no great secret that jobs have been a lot harder to come by in Tennessee in our rural areas than they have in our urban and suburban areas. But that's not just true of us, that's true of everywhere. So we have to put a real focus on that. The Rural Development Initiative that's been rolled out yesterday, I got a chance to talk to several of you last night who are from some of our more rural areas of Tennessee, I think can be a game changer. I think you can really provide that kind of opportunity, like the steps forward we've taken in education. I think great leadership out in wherever it is in the state of Tennessee identifies the biggest problems and does something about that. And we intend to do that. It is not easy. It is a big challenge all across the country to bring jobs to our rural areas, but we're going to do that in Tennessee, and we have to. Commissioner Schroer and I recently were on a 15 kind of area tour talking about transportation and road and bridge needs in Tennessee. And I can't remember where we were. Somebody can probably remember. But we got to one area, and they started saying, well, our needs are a little different because we're a really rural area. So where were we? Somebody's laughing. I can't remember where we were. Anyway, there were like 8 different counties represented at the table. And it quickly got into a battle of, well, they think they're rural. Here's how rural we are. But the reality is a lot of our state is facing challenging conditions. And we want this initiative, like I said, to be a game changer. We want to provide that opportunity to take a big step forward. We understand that we have to do better there, and we fully intend to do that. The fourth thing is when Randy talks about Team Tennessee, we really do mean that. It's funny, as governor, it's a little bit like being the quarterback of the football team. When you win, everybody gives you a lot of credit. When you lose, it's all your fault. The reality is, as governor, we have 40,000 employees in the state. We do everything from build roads to run kindergarten classes to educate PhD students to we help folks with mental health issues. We recruit jobs locally and across the country and across the world. The governor is a piece of that, but it's only a piece. The teams that really do well figure out that we're a team. When I was at Senator Hale's farm last night up in Sumner County, somebody said, hey, thanks very much for helping bring Beretta here to Gallatin. That was a really big deal to bring them. And so it was fun for me because there were about 10 other governors that were positive they were going to get it. And so it was kind of fun to go to the next National Governors Association meeting and everybody go, how'd you all do that? Well, the answer wasn't because of anything that Bill Haslam did or even that ECD did. The answer was, in that case, we had a great situation of our local governments and our local elected local economic development officials working together in a way that really sold them. And by the way, that story's been repeated over and over again. So when you think about Team Tennessee, we mean it. When as governor, that's what governors do. They get up and brag and say, we've created 255,000 new private sector jobs since we've been in office. But the reality is that happens because a lot of people say, here's my part in making that happen. And I hope you'll commit yourself to this idea of Team Tennessee, even though it doesn't mean getting a tattoo with that. The last thing I would say is this. I'm going to end right where Randy ended when Randy kind of got up here and said, for those of you who weren't here yesterday, Randy's talk was about there's never been a better time to be in Tennessee. And he ran through a lot of statistics which are absolutely right. And that was the part of my talk that since he'd given that yesterday, I didn't think he'd give it again today. But that was actually where I want to end. Like I said, I think you get old, I'm going to adopt the Shimon Peres quote. I think you get old when there's more things that discourage you than encourage you. And I hope you're encouraged that today more people in Tennessee have a job than have ever had a job in Tennessee. I hope you're encouraged that we've gone longer without a tax increase than we ever have in the state's history. I hope you're encouraged that as a government we have less debt per person than any other state in the country. I hope you're encouraged that we're the fastest improving state in the country when it comes to education results. I hope you're encouraged that we're the very first state ever to offer what we call the Tennessee Promise, 2 years free of community college and technical school. I don't say all that and you say, well, okay, all that's great, but what about this problem? I don't say that so that we'll ignore those problems or that we'll minimize those. That's what our job is as leaders, is to address those counties where unemployment is way too high, those places where education attainment is not what we need to be. But what leaders do is we identify a problem and then we come up with a solution. Like you all, I've been asked a lot recently, so what's happening in this presidential election? What's going on? People seem to be all for outsiders, and that's kind of the rage. And that's, by the way, it's not just true there. I see it in governor's elections. Of the new governors that were elected last year, 2/3 of them had never been in office before. So this isn't just something that's kind of bubbled up recently. It's about the American people saying, we're frustrated. We're frustrated that problems aren't getting solved. And you see that in both parties, by the way. That's not a Republican issue or a Democrat issue. You see people say, we're frustrated that problems aren't getting solved. I hope you'll agree to be part of Team Tennessee that says, we're about solving problems. We have the best state in the world to sell. We're putting the pieces together in terms of everything from a rural economic development strategy to the education so we can prove that we have the workforce to meet those needs. I've never been more excited to be a part of Team Tennessee thank you very much for your role in that, and please know we intend to work side by side with you to make our state even greater. Thanks so much for being a part of the conference.